We have seen that one of the effector mechanisms used by antibodies is complement activation. In this case, when the antibody binds an antigen, it activates the complement system. And this complement system acts alongside the antibody and it complements the action of the antibody. This complement system is a group of proteins. These proteins are present in plasma, and normally these proteins are inactive. And the system, complement system, is made up of four different groups of proteins. One group is made up of complement components C1 through C9, that is C1, C2, C3, etc. A second is mannose binding lectin or MBL, a protein present in plasma. Then a proteolytic enzyme known as MBL associated serine protease is a component of the complement system. And there are some other proteins like factor B, factor D, factor H, factor I, etc. So all these proteins together constitute the complement system. These complement components are inactive proenzymes. They are converted into active enzymes by a series of reactions. And in this series of reactions, one complement acts on the second, converts the coenzyme into enzyme. The second acts on third, converts the coenzyme into enzyme, and so on. So during the process of complement activation, one complement component or protein acts on the next, and this next protein, next complement component, is split into two. A small peptide is removed from this protein, and the proenzyme form, which is inactive, is converted into the active enzyme. Now, when a small peptide is removed from a protein, this small peptide is shown by the suffix A, and the larger fragment is shown by the suffix B. In most of the cases, the larger fragment is the active enzyme form of the protein. Sometimes the smaller peptide may also be active. But the enzymatically active fragment, whether it is A or B, is shown by a horizontal bar on it. For example, we have a protein here, say X. It is split into XA and XB. XA is the smaller fragment, XB is the larger fragment. In this case, XA is the active enzyme. So this horizontal bar over A shows that this is the enzymatically active fragment. There are three different complement pathways. The first is classic complement cascade. The second is lectin pathway. And the third is alternate complement pathway. The classic complement cascade is activated when an antigen binds the complementary antibody. So antigen-antibody binding is required for activation of classic complement cascade. But the other two pathways, the lectin pathway and the alternate complement pathway, do not require an antigen-antibody interaction. I will first look at the classic complement cascade. In this series of reactions, there are three phases. The series of reactions can be divided into three phases, and these phases are recognition phase, activation phase, and membrane attack phase. In recognition phase, which is the first phase, a recognition unit is made, and this recognition unit takes part in this phase. And this unit, the recognition unit, is made up of complement components C1Q, C1R, and C1S. In fact, the complement component 1 is made up of these three subcomponents C1Q, C1R, and C1S, which are normally inactive. The second phase is activation phase. In this phase, an activation unit is made, and this activation unit participates in this second phase. And the activation unit is made up of four complement components C1, C2, C3, and C4. The third phase, last phase, is membrane attack phase. In this phase, a membrane attack complex is formed, and this complex participates in the membrane attack phase. And this complex is made up of complement components C5, C6, C7, C8, and C9. The first phase, which is recognition phase, requires an antigen-antibody binding, and only two classes of antibodies, IgM and IgG, can activate the complement system. So normally it is the binding of either IgM or IgG to an antigen, and this antigen is commonly present on the surface of a bacterial cell. So a number of antigen molecules are present on the surface of the bacterial cell, and when IgM or IgG antibodies bind to these antigens, the recognition phase is initiated. And for this initiation, we require at least one molecule of IgM or at least two molecules of IgG. Ideally, there should be 6 molecules of IgG bound to the antigen on the surface of the bacterial cell for initiation of the recognition phase. When this antibody, whether it is IgM or IgG, is bound to the antigen on the surface of the bacterial cell, the variable region of the immunoglobulin is bound to the antigen. The constant region is free. So this constant region of the immunoglobulin attracts complement component C1, and this C1 binds to the constant region of the immunoglobulin or the antibody. So we have this bacterial cell, this is the cell membrane. These are the antigen molecules which are present on the surface of the bacterial cell, and these antigen molecules attract the complementary antibodies. In this case, the antibody is IgG. So this IgG, we are seeing two molecules of IgG bound to the antigen molecules on the surface of the bacterial cell. Now this complement C1, which is made up of C1Q, C1R, and C1S, is attracted, and this C1 binds to the constant region of the antibody molecules, and this initiates the recognition phase. So this C1, which is a complex made up of C1Q, C1R, and C1S, is attached to the constant region of the antibody. C1Q, which is one of the subcomponents of C1, is made up of 6 identical subunits having globular heads and long linear tails. And these tails of C1Q bind to 2 molecules of C1R and 2 molecules of C1S. So 6 subunits of C1Q, two subunits of C1R and two subunits of C1S constitute the C1 complex. This is the complex which is made up of C1Q, 6 polypeptide chains, C1R, 2 polypeptide chains, and C1S, 2 polypeptide chains. After this C1 binds to the constant region of the antibody, there is a conformational change in C1R. So this binding of C1 to the constant region of the antibody causes a conformational change in C1R, and now the C1R acts on C1S, and C1S is cleaved and it is activated. It becomes enzymatically active. So we see that the C1S is converted into active C1S. The horizontal bar on S shows that this is the enzymatically active form. Now this complex C1QRS has become active, and this acts on the next complement component, which is C4, and this C4 is split into C4A and C4B. C4B is the larger component fragment, and the horizontal bar shows that C4B is the enzymatically active fragment. Now this active C4B acts on complement component 2, which is split into 2A and 2B. 2B is the active, enzymatically active form. Now this active 2B and active 4B come together. They form a complex. This complex is made up of C2B, C4B, both of which are active, and they act on next complement component, which is C3. C3 is split into C3A and C3B. C3B is the enzymatically active form of this component, and this phase is known as the activation phase. So after recognition phase, there is activation phase, in which ultimately complement component C3 is activated. It becomes an active enzyme. Now the third phase begins, the membrane attack phase. And this phase is initiated by active C3b. So this active C3b acts on C5. C5 is split into C5a and C5b. C5b is the enzymatically active form. Now C6 and C7 join active C5b, a complex made up of C5b, C6 and C7 is made, and then complement component C8 also joins this complex. So now we have a complex made up of components 5, 6, 7 and 8, and this complex is known as the membrane attack unit. So now in the membrane attack phase, a membrane attack unit has been formed made up of C5b, C6, C7 and C8. This unit gets inserted in the cell membrane of the target cell. The target cell in this case is a bacterial cell. So this complex membrane attack unit is inserted in the cell membrane of the target bacterial cell, and now this unit attracts C9, complement component C9. In fact, several molecules of C9 are attracted, and these molecules of C9 also get inserted in the cell membrane of the bacterial cell or the target cell. And now these molecules of C9 are polymerized, and they are polymerized to form a transmembrane annular pore, a tubular structure which is inserted in the cell membrane of the target bacterial cell, and the contents of the bacterial cell leak out through this pore, leading to destruction of the target bacterial cell. So this is the cell membrane of the target bacterial cell. This complex of C5b, C6, C7 and C8. This complex is first inserted in the cell membrane of the target cell. Then several molecules of C9 are attracted. They also get inserted in the cell membrane. And these C9 molecules are polymerized to form a tubular structure which is inserted in the cell membrane of the bacterial cell, and the contents of the bacterial cell leak out through this pore and the bacterial cell is destroyed. The second complement pathway is lectin pathway. So this complement system can also be activated by lectin pathway. And in this case, a protein is required which is known as mannose binding lectin or MBL. This protein MBL is synthesized by liver cells and it is secreted into circulation. So MBL is present in circulation. Now this MBL can bind to mannose with high affinity, but it can also bind to some other carbohydrates. And these mannose molecules are present on the surface of many microbes or bacteria. So these mannose molecules attract MBL, mannose binding lectin, and this lectin binds to the mannose residues. Now, when this binding occurs, when MBL is bound to the mannose residues of the bacterial cell on the surface of the bacterial cell, it activates a proteolytic enzyme which is MBL associated serine protease or MASP. So this is a proteolytic enzyme which is normally inactive, but now it becomes active. And this active MASP cleaves C2 and C4. So C2 is split into C2A and C2B. C4 is split into C4A, C4B. Then C2B and C4B, which are the active forms, come together and they act on C3. They convert C3 into C3A and C3B. C3B is the active form. So the rest of the pathway is identical with the classic complement pathway. So we have a microbe, normally a bacterial cell. A number of mannose residues are present on the surface of this bacterial cell, and this is the mannose binding lectin, which is attracted by the mannose residues. So this mannose binding lectin binds to the mannose residues, and this binding activates MBL associated serine protease or MASP, and this active protease then splits C2 and C4, forming the active C2b fragment and the active C4b fragment, which will then act on C3. So C3 will be converted into inactive C3a and active C3b by C2b and C4b, and then the rest of the pathway will be same as in case of classic complement cascade. The third complement pathway is alternate complement pathway. This pathway also does not require antigen-antibody interaction, and it also doesn't require C1, C2 and C4. It requires C3 and then 5, 6, 7, 8 and C9. And in addition, it requires two proteins, factor B and factor D. According to the current thinking, C3, which is normally present in plasma, is slowly hydrolyzed when it contacts water. Now, water is always present in plasma. So there is continuous slow hydrolysis of C3 in plasma. And because of this slow and spontaneous hydrolysis, C3 becomes active. It is hydrolyzed into C3A and C3B. C3B is the active form. So a small amount of active C3B is always being formed slowly and spontaneously in plasma. This active C3B will bind to some self cell if a foreign cell is not present. If a foreign cell is present, like a bacterial cell, this active C3b will bind to the foreign cell. But if no foreign cell is present, then it will bind to some self cell. And when it binds to a self cell, it is inactivated by factors H and I, which are present on the self cells. So all the self cells have factor H and factor I, and they inactivate C3, which is bound to the self cell, so the further pathway will not occur. But if a foreign cell is present and C3, active C3, binds to the foreign cell does not have factor H and factor I. So this foreign cell will not be able to inactivate C3, so C3 will remain active. So when C3 binds to a self cell, it is inactivated. When it binds to a foreign cell, like a bacterial cell, it remains active. So when a foreign cell is present, active C3b binds to the foreign cell, it remains active, and a protein present in plasma known as factor B binds to C3b. This factor B is also, to begin with, inactive. But after it has bound to C3b, another protein known as factor D, which is also present in plasma, acts on factor B. It splits factor B into factor BA and factor BB. This BB is the enzymatically active form. So now we have a complex made up of active C3b and active factor B. And this complex acts on C5. It splits C5 into C5A and C5B. C5B is the enzymatically active form. And this will then form the membrane attack unit along with C6, C7 and C8. This is complement component C3, which is slowly and spontaneously hydrolyzed in the aqueous environment of plasma into active C3b and inactive C3a. This active C3b will bind to a self cell if a foreign cell is not present. And when this C3b, active C3b, is bound to the surface of a self cell, factor H and factor I act on active C3b, and they convert active C3b into inactive C3b. So now further reactions will not occur. But when a foreign cell is present, this active C3b will bind to the surface of the foreign cell. Factor B will be added to it. Factor D will act on factor B. Factor B will be split into BA and BB. So now we have a complex made up of active C3b and active factor B. And this complex acts on complement 5, converts it into inactive 5A and active C5b. After the formation of active C5b, the pathway is identical with the classic complement cascade. So membrane attack complex will be formed. Several molecules of C9 will be inserted in the cell membrane of the target cell, and the target cell will be destroyed. So in this alternate complement pathway, water molecules act on C3, convert C3 into inactive C3A and active C3B. Factor B binds to C3B. Factor D acts on factor B. Factor B is split into inactive BA and active BB. And then this complex of active C3B and active BB converts C5 into inactive C5A and active C5A. Then complements 6, 7 and 8 are attracted. Membrane attack unit is formed. Membrane attack unit made up of C5B, C6, C7, C8 is inserted in the cell membrane. These are the C9 molecules which are attracted, which are inserted in the cell membrane and which are polymerized to form this transmembrane tubular structure through which the contents of the cell leak out and the target cell is destroyed. So these three complement pathways help in the destruction of the foreign cells, which are normally bacterial cells. The normal function of our immune system is to protect us against antigens or pathogens, and it does so by producing an immune response when a foreign antigen enters our body or a foreign pathogen enters our body. But sometimes the immune system produces an altered response. Instead of normal immune response, it produces a somewhat different response. And this response is evoked by some antigens which are otherwise harmless. They are innocuous. And this altered response is known as an allergic response. And the harmless antigens which evoke an allergic response are known as allergens. An allergy is described as a side effect of immunity. The allergens are small molecules which may be present in pollens, they may be present in molds, they may be present in dust mites, in animal dander, that is flakes of skin of animals like dogs and cats. The allergens may be present in insect sting. Some of the drugs act as allergens in some individuals. Some components of food act as allergens in some persons. IgE is the class of immunoglobulins to which the allergens are bound. IgE is a minor immunoglobulin. Normally it is present in very minute concentration and its normal function is anti-parasitic. It is supposed to protect us against parasites. But some persons have a relatively high concentration of IgE, higher than normal. And this higher concentration may be because of genetic factors or it may be because of environmental factors. Some persons inherit this higher concentration of IgE from their parents. So it is genetic in origin. In some persons, the concentration is higher because of environmental factors. And this especially happens when one lives in a very hygienic environment, an environment in which parasites are not present. So when parasites are not present, the IgE is spared. It becomes idle. IgE molecules are bound to mast cells. Mast cells possess high affinity receptors for IgE on their surface. So IgE molecules are bound to these receptors on the mast cells. It is the constant region of IgE which is bound to the receptor. The variable region is free. The mast cells are present beneath the mucosal cells. They are present in respiratory mucosa, in gastrointestinal mucosa, and so on. And the mast cells are also present in connective tissue. So the IgE molecules are bound to the specific receptors on the surface of the mast cells. When an allergen binds to IgE on the surface of the mast cell releases the granules which are normally stored in the cell. And these granules contain some chemical mediators. So actually it is the chemical mediators stored in the mast cells which are released when the allergen binds to IgE on the surface of the mast cell. And these chemical mediators include histamine, heparin, leukotriene C4, leukotriene D4, leukotriene E4, platelet activating factor, eosinophil chemoattractive factor. So all these mediators are released from the mast cells. And depending upon the site where these chemical mediators have been released, various manifestations will occur, like increase in capillary permeability, vasodilatation, itching can occur, sneezing can occur, bronchospasm can occur. In this way, various allergic diseases are produced by allergens, like allergic dermatitis, allergic rhinitis, allergic conjunctivitis, allergic asthma, food allergies, drug allergies, and so on. This finishes our discussion on humoral immunity. Next will be cell mediated immunity. Thank you.